Hey everybody, Mike Lawson here with CU Broadcast. Welcome to our show, and on this episode we are discovering hidden markets within co-ops with Vancity's William Azaroff. Check it out. Hey, I just saw you a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, at the CU Water Cooler Symposium in Austin, Texas, where there were lots of great presentations provided to the attendees there, and you, were among the tops, I must say. And as you always are there, I've watched you for years and really enjoy your presentations. They're very thought-provoking and very compelling, and they're conversation starters. And your most recent presentation filled that bill as well. And it was basically on the cooperative movement and how you can, discovering hidden markets and things like that. I mean, but you obviously know it better than I do. Can you give us a quick summary on your presentation there?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. I mean, I think what I always try and do some kind of new presentation for the water cooler. It's my absolute favorite conference and event of the year. And what struck me over the last year or so is that when I get together with credit union people, when I'm at conferences or what have you, the talk of being a co-op comes up quite a bit. We really feel that co-op thing quite a bit. And yet, when I ask about it, I'm sometimes troubled by sometimes a surface layer understanding of what it means to be a co-op, or how much the co-op principles are really baked into what we do, or how democratic we actually are. In other words, how easy it is for new board members to be elected to our board and shake things up and make sure we're reflecting the communities we are today as opposed to the communities we were 20, 30 years ago when some of our board members were first elected. And so I want to give an overview, and increasingly at Vancity, colleagues of mine and myself have sort of talked about the roots of co-ops, that initial movement to start co-ops back in England and Rochdale, the Rochdale pioneers, and actually linking them to modern issues. The idea that people were getting ripped off in these little company towns, having to shop at the company store because they were basically locked in to an economic model that benefited a few at the top. And so they took means into their own hands and started the first co-op. And we look around today at some of the inequality at, even things like food deserts where people don't have access to fresh local food and instead end up at McDonald's. And if you look at the sort of pink slime incident that was brought to life, 3-4 years ago, they think they're buying something that says 100% ground beef, and in fact what they're buying has other ingredients. And that's very similar, the ethics of that are very similar to the early Rochdale pioneers who were pissed off because they thought they were buying flour to make bread for their families, but in fact the flour was mixed with sawdust and they're paying for weight for things that it wasn't fair weights and measures, which is a big part of the start of co-ops. And so I tried to link these values and these principles to our modern context, hoping to shake things up a bit in some ways with credit unions to relook at those values, which are timeless, and apply them to the troubles and opportunities happening in our communities.
Well, what can they do today? I mean, that's a great springboard right there. I mean, what can credit unions do to kind of revisit those values?
Yeah, I think there are, and don't get me wrong, I think there are a lot of credit unions doing a lot of very good things. I think that to some degree, what I see is a trend of some credit unions are looking at providing financial services. Their mission is really to provide basic financial services at an affordable price to their membership group. And that's fine, but I don't think that's terribly different than the banks. And when your main differentiation is you're always going to be the cheapest, there's a point to that. But sometimes the cheapest isn't necessarily the best, and if that's all we have to hang our hook on, all we have to hang on the hook, then that somebody could come along with technology and disintermediate us, be able to figure out how to offer something at a cheaper price, and then what do we have left? Right. I was on the phone the other day with someone from Vermont who is at a credit union, and he's got a very similar mission to ours. I can't remember it word for word, but he's looking at the holistic well-being of his members in the communities. And I think that even if we looked at the holistic financial well-being of our members and communities, that takes us a lot farther, and the kinds of decision-making and what kinds of things we're going to place value on are going to be different than if we're just looking at financial services to our membership at the lowest possible price. Right. But I think pulling back the camera one step further and looking at the holistic well-being, because I don't think we can be a credit union in the modern world without getting involved with the cooperative economy, without looking at financial sustainability of not-for-profits, of socially inclined businesses and social enterprises, that there's a whole community ecosystem that we need to be a part of. And Vancity, I think, has proven that when you do that and you do it well and you do it smartly, there's business development opportunities. I mean, I think my title in some ways exemplifies it well. Business and community development. Everything we do is about developing new opportunities for Vancity's business. Right. But at the same time, all those opportunities should have a commensurate positive community impact. They're not just generic business development opportunities. Not that there aren't people at credit union who don't do that, and that's important. But the community investment team is really focused on that intersection.
Yeah.